Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you again about mental health. And this article is titled More Struggling with Mental Health Than You Think. And I will put a link to this article in the description for this video. Very interesting stuff here. It's likely that more of your friends, relatives, and neighbors are struggling with their mental health than you realize. I think that is so true. And it was about 3 weeks ago, a colleague of mine, a fellow lawyer, took his own life. Okay, and I don't know the details, but this is somebody that, certainly by outward appearances would seem like, he had his act together. Family man, children, he used to run the local bar association, small, dinners and lunches. And, he was always the sharpest dressed guy in the room and would talk about how things, how he was getting, business from the group. And I used to see him in the gym, looked like he took care of himself. And then I find out he committed suicide. And so sometimes we don't know that our, our brothers and sisters are suffering in silence. And I think this is what this article is talking about. It says nationwide, 61.5 million adults experience mental illness and 14.6 million adults experience serious mental illness, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The most common are anxiety disorders, major depressive disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorders. And it says here a lot of individuals have a co-occurring substance use and mental illness. Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of that, right? It's very rarely, well, it's just drugs, just mental illness. No, these two go hand in hand. And just lately, obviously with marijuana being legalized all across the country, and we're seeing just a ton of mental health, mental illness being driven by marijuana use. Let's see what else we have in here. It says here, the pandemic also created its own challenges. Yeah, two things really changed the kinds of cases that we handle. So back in 2016, when I opened up the law office, out of the library here, because I was broke and didn't have any money for a law firm, but I had an idea and I had a mission and a group of people that I really wanted to help. My focus, because it was just me at the time, was alcohol and sort of recreational drug use. A little bit of marijuana, but not much. Cocaine, heroin, meth, pills, those types of things. And then two things really changed that. One, the big one was COVID, right? When people couldn't get in to see their clinicians and their general practitioners. And so they called 911, they called 211, they showed up at Baker Act facilities, they showed up at emergency rooms, right? People that had not had a problem started to have problems. People's medications, they were taking antidepressants and things of that nature, stopped working. And you had a whole bunch of people that got sucked into Florida's mental health system that shouldn't have been there. And that's when we really started to get very serious about fighting Florida's mental health system, and in particular the Baker Act, which, has become a mission of mine because it happened to my family member. So, COVID was a real problem for us, and for a lot of people. And I think another thing the article's talking about is just making resources available. It says here, 99.6% of US adults with mental illness and 10.9% of those with serious mental illness had no insurance coverage. What does that mean? It means that they don't get treatment. It says more than 120 million people in the United States live in a designated mental health professional shortage area. Rural areas are particularly affected by these shortages, which means there's no resources available for these people. And if this goes untreated, guess what happens? It gets worse. Warning signs of mental illness may include excessive worrying or fear, feeling excessively sad or low, confused thinking or problems concentrating and learning, extreme mood changes, avoiding friends and social activities, change in sleeping or eating habits, difficulty perceiving reality. People may also overuse substances like alcohol or drugs. Yeah, this is just great stuff here. I'll put a link to the article in the video description. And if you're a family out there and you have a loved one with these types of issues, reach out to us, okay? You can have a free chat with my intake team. Let's talk about what options may or may not be available to you, legal or non-legal. Let's see what we can do to help you. And of course, these videos I put out, a bunch of them every day, so you can get the information you need. and decide if you want to have a call with us. If you have any comments or questions, or if you want me to make a video for you about an issue that your family's facing and you haven't been able to find a video on it, let me know. Post something. I'll make a video for you, because if it's affecting your family, it's probably affecting other families too. We want to make sure that you get the information you need. If you like this content, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps. And if you want more of this content, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.